It's time for TWiT, This Week in Tech, episode 338 for the last week of January 2012. John C. Dvorak's here, Jolie Odell, too, from ChannelFlip. Will Harris makes an appearance as well. We'll talk about Google's new privacy policy, Facebook's potential IPO, and the secret treaty that's about to change everything on the internet. It's all ahead next on TWiT.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Audio bandwidth for This Week in Tech is provided by the new Winamp for Android, featuring wireless sync and one-click iTunes import. Now with free daily music downloads and full-length CD listening parties. Download it for free at winamp.com/Android. Video bandwidth for TWiT is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. This is TWiT, This Week in Tech, episode 338, recorded January 29th, 2012. Peanut butter and ladies. This Week in Tech is brought to you by GoToMyPC. Take care of last-minute requests from anywhere, right from your iPhone, with the GoToMyPC app for iPhone. Visit GoToMyPC.com for your free 30-day trial. Use the promo code TWiT. And by Freshbooks, the easy online invoicing app for small businesses that saves time and gets you paid faster. Join over 3.5 million Freshbooks users and try the service free for 30 days of unlimited use at freshbooks.com. Make sure you tell them you heard it on TWiT. And by Audible.com. Sign up for the Platinum plan and get 2 free books. Go to audible.com/TWiT2. And don't forget to follow Audible on Twitter. User ID audible_com. It's time for TWiT. Look at these great people assembled here all around me. I'm going to calm down a little bit. John C. Dvorak is back. We thought we'd bring you in before the Super Bowl so you could enjoy football next week.
Thank you, Leo.
You're welcome, John. ChannelDvorak.com. And No Agenda Show.
ChannelDvorak.com. Yeah, No Agenda Show.
Anything else?
Yeah, Dvorak.org/blog.
Really?
You you get a drink there. You can drink.
The real Dvorak.
And, you know, whatever. You find me here and there.
All right.
Look me up on Google.
Why not? What the hell? Also with us, Jolie Odell from VentureBeat.
Yeah, this time.
Last time, something else.
Yeah.
This time, no.
No, she was
No, it
with
was
VentureBeat.
It's been VentureBeat all this year.
All year. All year. Hello,
Yeah.
Jolie. Great to have
Hello,
you.
Leo. Thank
Jolie's
you.
new book is Android Photography, a guide to mobile creativity. You know, I think this is great because everybody talks about iPhoneography. And I think the new Android phones, I was just using the Galaxy Nexus. What do you use?
Well, I don't anymore. When I finished
Wait
that
a
book,
minute.
I basically
You're
got
the one
rid
who
of my
told us she
phones.
doesn't have a phone. Mm-hmm. And you wrote a book about cell phone photography.
Yes, a little while
slight
after.
irony there.
It is. After I finished that book, I got rid of my phones. I just was all phoned out.
I see. It was the book that did it.
Perhaps, you know, now that I think about it.
Perchance.
But yeah, it's a fun book.
JolieOdell.com. Also here from across the pond, Will Harris. ChannelFlip.com. Did you do the little foot stamp when you did the side swipe?
Absolutely. How are you, Leo? Good to be here. It's been a while.
It's been a while, sir. So, you were on TNT and we couldn't talk about it. So I thought I got to get him on now so we can talk about it. Will has flipped ChannelFlip.
Yeah?
Who'd you sell it to?
We sold to a very cool company called Shine Group.
Shine
which
Group.
is a big production company which is owned by News Corp.
Well, you sold it to Murdoch?
Yeah.
Wow. Good on you, mate. I hope you took him for a passel of money. That's awesome.
Well, they're a very exciting organization to be part of.
Yeah, you have to say that for now. How long do you have to say that for?
Yeah, I work for them too, you know.
Now they own my soul.
Are you still there? I mean, you have to stick around for a while as a founder, right?
Oh, well, I think the cool thing about Shine is that they're a really like high-quality production company, and they're actually going to help us make everything that we do a lot better.
ChannelFlip is
like actually it's getting started.
ChannelFlip is a true IPTV play. Unlike TWiT, which is really kind of a geeks podcast network, you're doing like sitcoms and stuff like that.
Well, not so much sitcoms, but a lot of comedy stuff. We started doing some documentary stuff.
Real TV.
Yeah, I would say so, except in sort of 3 and 5 minute segments. And so for us, the great thing about Shine is they make MasterChef and The Office and Ugly Betty and all that kind of stuff.
Oh my God! Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, this is like a real production company.
Oh yeah, yeah. So they've got offices in like 25 countries or something.
They make the UK office or the American office?
They make the American office. They own Reveille.
Oh, Reveille, yeah.
Yeah. So they own that. So now we're like a sister company to Reveille. So that gives us quite a lot of opportunity to do some cool stuff.
How much money did you get?
It's not Kevin Rose money.
He's enjoined not to say. But I have to. But a full disclosure.
Just thought I'd ask.
4 years ago, when you started ChannelFlip, you gave me some shares in it, and for which I thank you. And actually, at the
the lawyers will be calling.
No, they already did. They couldn't sell it without my say so, and I said yeah, and they sent me a check in December. So I received a little. We can't disclose. Apparently, I didn't know this. In fact, I am glad I asked Will. He says I'm not allowed to say. I'm enjoined from saying how much it is. But
well, how much is it?
I don't know. I can't say. But well, what did we come up with?
Enough for a round of beers for the TWiT crew.
More than that, but enough. Not enough to party with MC Hammer, but not enough to party with Jay-Z. You said, Jolie, and I think that's probably about right.
That's
somewhere in there.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. But anyway, thank you. Carpool is now a ChannelFlip production.
Yes, and we've actually got a new show with Rob Llewellyn, who is well known to Crichton and Red Dwarf and Scrap Heap Challenge. A new show which I think starts next month, which is all about electric cars and electric vehicles and clean energy.
He's really into that stuff. Carpool's
He really loves that stuff.
What will do you know what the new show will be named?
Yeah, it's called Fully Charged.
Of course. How exciting! That's great. Yeah, Bobby's a wonderful guy. Please give him my regards.
I will do.
Yeah,
will do.
He's
out shooting
here.
Red Dwarf at the moment.
I know. He's got the rubber face back on. Anyway, Will, congratulations. I think that's great. It is just the beginning. I think that you're going to see mainstream media companies like Shine start to, I hope, start to snap up new media companies.
You're rolling in dough. You don't care.
Fine. I actually don't want to sell because I like what I'm doing. But I do think that you're going to see a lot of this because they're saying, what is going on?
Yeah, we got to have a bubble. Come on, people.
What the hell?
Let's bubble it up.
Yeah, I think.
Get the heck out of here.
I think that
G4 is going to come knocking for you.
No, that's God, wouldn't that be awful? I did an April Fool's joke about 3 years ago. On April Fool's, I said I was so happy to be joining the G4 family, and they bought TWiT, and it's just great news for everybody. And people believed me.
It's very remotely believable.
It is. That's why I did it for April Fool's.
Yeah,
it's distant.
If I would have spotted the date, I would have known it was bull crap.
You always do your April Fool's columns, and there's always a slurp-aloof.
Slurp-aloof. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to stop using that.
Everybody knows now. It's April Fool's backwards.
But it's usually deep in the column. It's usually the PR girl. Her name is Slurp-aloof, and she says something stupid. That,
what is the key to a good April Fool's column?
Believability.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, you've done this too.
Yeah, we have so much fun in the newsrooms planning for our big April Fool's
pranks.
April
Fool's so much.
It's so good.
I hate it because
so you get to troll people.
I am. I'm a victim.
One day.
I'm a victim.
And the more people you troll, the more you laugh, the better it is. Not that I'm a troll.
What's your best April Fool's story? Do you remember?
Oh, I can't remember.
John?
It's probably still ahead of me.
I'm actually in the Hoax Hall of Fame.
Really?
With the one I did about the getting drunk on the information superhighway.
You get in the Hoax Hall of Fame if the story that you write gets into Wikipedia.
Oh, that's interesting. The two that I liked the best, I did one where they were going to change the name of Sioux City or Sioux Falls to Gateway City. And and I had a bunch of documentation showing how this was going on around the country. People were taking money from large corporations to change their name, and this is based on changing Pac Bell Park to the Monster Stadium, whatever they call them. And that ran above the fold in the local paper in Sioux Falls.
Whoa!
Right at the top.
That's it. If you get somebody to pick it up legitimately,
they were all moaning and groaning about this column. But the better one was which was a bill they were going to pass that required people to be sober when they were using a modem, and then I made the assertion that these idiots in Congress didn't know what a modem was, and they just knew about information superhighway, and so they thought it was drunk driving, and they were crazy.
Oh, wow.
So
That's a great idea.
And I named Leahy and two other senators, and they got tons of calls.
Of course.
Leahy was irked.
So this is my favorite news site. I found out about this. We were interviewing Clay Johnson about his book, on an information diet, and it was all about like how to vet information, make sure that you eat good information, you know, wholesome information. And he pointed to this site. It's called gullible.info, and this guy just has fun making up facts that sound true.
Oh, yeah.
And he spends now a lot of time going to Wikipedia to delete this data that gets in because people believe it. For instance,
why bother?
we should do a contest. This would be a great game show. I give you 3 facts. One of them is true. For instance, the title lyric of the Old English carol, God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, was originally a sexual innuendo. True or false?
Yes.
False.
No.
I was hoping.
The sale of 1% milk has declined nearly 26% since the beginning of the Occupy Wall Street protests.
A friend of mine runs a similar site.
What's one got to do with the other?
I know. 1%. Get it? Most of the world's French fries are neither French nor fried.
It's ridiculous.
That's pretty true.
Sounds true.
Sounds true.
Sounds true.
Right?
Geneticists discovered in 2004 the human ability to see the color red stems from a genetic mutation that took place in a common ancestor 2 million years ago. Projections indicate that in another 1 million years, red color receptors will be a recessive gene and appear only in a minority of humans.
I believe that.
I believe it too. They actually, one of the facts that this guy made up, these are all made up. None of these are true. One of the facts this guy's made up consistently gets back into Wikipedia, which was that Timothy Leary claimed to have found a new color called Glendale. And it has appeared ever since in his biography, and people keep putting it back in. Did you know that Jude Law stipulates in his film contracts that none of his movies may be preceded in theaters by any previews in which he also appears? Not true. Anyway, enough. That's the fake news. Now we've got some real news. How about that? Big story. The big story of the week. We talked about a little bit on This Week in Google. Google announced that they have a new privacy policy and that they're going to unify data across all of their platforms. So what they know about you from watching YouTube will be added to Google Search, will be added to Gmail, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they announced a new privacy policy. In fact, if you haven't gone to Google.com lately, you might want to go because they'll say right at the beginning of it, we have a new privacy policy, and it's not the same old yada yada. Actually, I guess I've been there, so I'm not seeing it now. But see if you see it. It's not the same old yada yada.
Is that what it says?
Yada yada. To Google to get it. You get it if you log into Gmail. I got an email to me. If you log into Google Plus, if you go onto YouTube, it's like, oh my God, there's a new privacy policy. I know it's fine.
If you want to read a really bad one, go look at the new one from CNBC.
I can only imagine. So, Washington Post, before the policy came out, really cried wolf on this. The Fox News said in capital letters, "Be afraid." People have been just going crazy. Even Extreme Tech wrote an article about how Google's new policy has no opt-out, and all of a sudden, the Google is evil. Agree?
You know, we knew this was coming for a long time. Ever since Google Plus launched, I went to Google and said, okay, what's your big strategy with this? Surely it's more than a dinky little social network. And they said,
yeah. Next door quit.
Well, no, it was their plan was to unify all Google web products under one umbrella so that you have one identity that you use everywhere, you have one login, you have one privacy policy. And I think that what they're doing with this privacy policy, and they've whitewashed it, which is their job. You know, they want to make sure that the web is personalized for you and that you can share with everybody. But what if you don't want personalized content? What if you don't want the sharing? What if I don't want my personal life and my social life to be dragged onto the internet wherever I go, is the problem. So you have to log out of Google and stop using Google web products, which is inconvenient, but, you know, it's not like we don't have other options.
I should talk about a couple of things here. One is the some of the new technologies being used to track you, namely IP tracking. That's instead of putting cookies on your machine, there's databases of IP addresses, and they all subscribe to it.
You don't need a cookie.
Yeah, cookies are bogus.
All I need to know is maybe a half dozen parameters about your browser, what versions of things you're running, and I can tell exactly who you are.
Now, the thing that's out there is people should look at is a product called Ghostery.
Yes.
ghostery.com.
It's a Firefox plugin.
Yeah,
actually works on Chrome.
It works on all the browsers, and what it does is it sees who's doing what to you, and then it gives you kind of a quasi report. And you'll find a lot of these sites that seem innocuous, or they have a jillion trackers on you. And Google's like one of the least of the least problematic.
They don't need to track you because they're already everywhere on the internet.
Yeah, that's true.
Google Analytics is one of the things that will show up when you use
shows up
Ghostery.
constantly on Ghostery.
And we use Google Analytics. Actually, I'm proud to say that on twit.tv, I think there's 3 Ghostery items. But it's hard. Look, every website you go to is almost certainly logging your IP address. If it has ad banners, the company that serves those ad banners, Google, DoubleClick, or whoever, is also able to track you from site to site. This is going on.
Well, that's part of the disgusting commercialization of the internet, and that's one thing. But the other thing is your personal life and your social life, your intellectual life, which are very different from what you do online. Sometimes you just need to be anonymous. And when I talked to Bradley Horowitz at Google, one of the last times I was there, I was like, Bradley, it seems like you are making us log in to do everything so you can track us everywhere. What if you don't want that? And he gave me the indication that you were going to be able to anonymously and pseudonymously use Google products. And I am starting to feel like
that's a lie.
I was lied to.
Yeah.
I think
just a little bit. I'm so pissed off about that.
It's sort of making Google into not a series of disparate products, but one sort of holistic googly experience. And so there was a really interesting quote from I think it was last week that that Larry Page was saying, if you're internally to Google employees, if you're not on board with Search What's Your World and this new
get out of here, he said. Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
What was also interesting was that he referred to a number of times and in previous speeches over the last few weeks has talked a lot about how he wants Google to be a beautiful experience. And that's not something that we've ever really associated with Google before. And I think it's quite clear that he's started thinking, in my mind, it's like the productization of the Google experience, if that's a real word. It's like making all these disparate Google bits into one place that you sort of come together, or one experience. There's all, like, Google Search is the hub in the same way that Facebook Wall is your hub, but all the rest of it is all unified on LinkedIn.
On the one hand, of course, Google is a private company, not private, publicly held, but they're a corporation. They're entitled and, in fact, I think probably obliged fiduciarily to make as much money as they can.
Fiduciarily?
Is that a word? I don't think it's a word. It is their fiduciary responsibility to return a profit to the stakeholders. On the other hand, we do expect, I think, a little more of Google for a couple of reasons. One, don't be evil is supposedly their motto. I think
come now.
I think we could throw that one out.
That's ridiculous.
They said it, but obviously it's no longer true.
Corporations are neither evil nor not evil. They're just
amoral.
Corporations. They are profit-driven. However, you piss off your users, your advertisers go where the users go.
Right.
And they are linked.
And I think because they run the search engine that is what fuels travel on the internet. Without a good search engine, without Google, the internet doesn't work. We expect more of them. They're almost a public service. They're almost a public service. And if you think, I can go use Bing, Bing's doing this already as well. They're combining Facebook with Bing results. I don't think Bing's any less, of a unified experience. Google, I do praise them for at least publishing a unified privacy policy. I mean, that's a big step forward. It's in plain English. You can at least see what Google's doing. They do something that nobody does, which I think is fantastic, which is the Google dashboard. You can go to google.com/dashboard and see what they know about you.
Is your machine flipping around, bouncing around on this?
It's not
What's
very
happened
flat.
to it?
Well, it's not a flat table.
You sure it's the table?
Well, it could be.
Or your machine
could be
your
warped.
MacBook Air is warped.
I don't think so. I think it's the table.
Oh, no.
See, look. You know the guy? Never mind. So I can see my dashboard. I can see exactly what they know about me, and that's good. And as they point out, you could log out of your Google account and continue to use some Google tools, not all, but you could watch videos on YouTube. You could search on Google without anything being saved about you. So I think that given that they are a company designed to make money.
You can also use Scroogle for your search engine.
You could use Scroogle. If you're on Safari, you can use private browsing.
You could use an encyclopedia and read the newspaper.
Huh?
Private browsing has on Firefox, too.
Yeah. So I think
on Chrome, on Firefox, on Safari,
and I would point out,
you can private browse on anything, right?
There
so
is,
if you don't want to be in this thing, you can try and opt out of it at the Google end, but you can just opt out of it at the client end. Just use a browser that doesn't support cookies.
But here's the problem: you can opt out all you want from these services. Your internet service provider, you can't opt out from, and they can collect everything you're doing, and in fact are
by law, I think they have
required by the law to save 2 years of it for the FBI at FBI request. So I mean, maybe we trust the government more than we trust Google. I know you don't, but
of course not.
but see, at least you know what Google's motivations are. You never know what the government's motivations are.
Profit.
Well, profit.
Yeah.
What is the government motive? We don't know.
Profit.
Well, who knows what it is?
That's intelligent.
Who knows how they interpret that? So I think the thing to remind people is, privacy policy or not, dashboard or not, your data is being collected about you every time you step out onto the internet. You're in public, so you might as well act as if you're in public.
It's just
and if
so
you don't like it,
depressing.
read the newspaper. You're right.
Well, yes. I mean, it's enough to make me want to put on my tinfoil hat and go into a cabin in the mountains.
Do as I do and just go, blah.
What?
Blah. Here it all is.
Sorry, what is it?
You mean you were transparent?
I'm letting it all hang out. I hide nothing.
Oh, really? Then how much did you get that check for?
I can't. You know what? No, I wish I could. I would tell you. I don't care. But unfortunately, I didn't know this, and it's good you told me. I'm contractually required to not to say that.
You remember?
And it's
you
didn't
read the thing
I
you
didn't
signed?
read it, of course. You know, but this is why I don't sign NDAs. I don't sign embargoes, because I don't know what I can say or not. And so normally,
I don't sign. I make a big fuss about not signing this stuff. It turns out that I'll agree to embargoes orally because I'm fine with it, but I won't sign these documents. And if I was
me neither. I think it's journalistically.
I think it's corrupt.
It's slightly corrupt. However, I'm pretty sure, Will, I turned you down when you offered me these shares, and you sent them to me anyway. It's your fault.
That's probably true. Probably true.
I'm very grateful, to be honest with you. I'm very grateful because it was a surprise, and it came at the right time.
Sounds like it was a chunk of money.
Well, it was enough to buy some presents.
Presents?
For all my loved ones.
I didn't get anything.
And there's quite a few of those. I like. But in general, and by the way, I am donating more than half of it to a charity.
Oh, brother.
Which charity?
Most of it to our school. Which is a nonprofit.
That's nice.
But and others, and then we donate. Actually, TWiT has some local charity. We try to donate locally because I want to support local groups. But that's, I don't mean to. Sorry, I even brought that up.
Back to the news.
You do have a choice, Jolie. You could either withdraw. The problem is you can't use a credit card. You can't, you got a lot.
Oh, well, I mean, going completely off the grid isn't an option.
In Britain, you can't walk down the street because there's a camera every 5 feet.
Well, that's definitely
But I mean,
true.
suppose on the internet there are parts of your personal life that you would like to keep off of it. Google is making it increasingly difficult to establish those borders.
Then don't share those online. Don't use Facebook.
Don't email your girlfriend or boyfriend
you can use
from Gmail.
You can use encrypted email. Use encryption.
Try telling that to the average
dude.
dude.
In like everyday life. Like, really?
I know.
I know where Jolie's coming from. Like, it's all very well saying, okay, if you're not comfortable with all these privacy controls, don't, put all this private stuff online. But, the government expects you to do your taxes online these days.
They
like
are
the
encouraging
most
that.
private thing you can get.
Right.
Like, all the sort of, health and social services and all this kind of stuff is all existing online. We're moving to a world where you have to be online and everything has to be online. So actually, to Jolie's point, how much choice do you really have if you have to be online and all the major places that you're going to be online are going to keep all this data about you?
I guess it's true. If you decide to withdraw, good luck getting a job.
Yeah, it's like you really don't have much of a choice.
Get a job?
You could bag groceries.
Not a great job.
Well, you have a great job, and you could do fine without being online.
Oh, God. What do you mean? My whole job is online.
Well, I'm just... Well,
what are you talking about?
But you could have the same
radio.
job.
You have a beautiful voice, Leo.
So I could not be online. I could tell stories.
You have to put an email address on.
You could do NPR. You've got a great NPR
We're going to have reading group tonight, and I will read to you.
I think this is what you should do.
What?
What you just described.
A reading
You
group?
should give up on this crap.
You could be the next LeVar Burton.
I should. Reading Rainbow. I could wear special little sunglasses. No, I think that I don't mind being online, and I don't mind that people know about me, and I'm usually pretty forthright about what is going on in my life. And so, the only restriction, unfortunately, I have to place is when other people get involved, like for instance, Will here, who is not allowed to say what this company sold for, so I can't. Or my family members. I mean, it's not for me to decide what's public about my, my family life. But for me, I got nothing to hide.
And it's interesting. I mean, I think one of the things that we keep coming up against is like the age thing, where if you have this same conversation with a bunch of teenagers, I'm pretty sure you'll just get absolutely nonplussed looks of meh.
Do you think they care?
That's true. I agree.
No, they don't give a monkey.
They don't care.
I don't think they see the consequences.
Yeah, that's true.
Teenagers and consequences are like peanut butter and ladies. They just don't mix.
Really?
Yeah.
Ladies don't like peanut
butter and ladies?
Well, I mean, I stole that line from a film.
That's good. That's a good line.
Thank you.
I would say that's utterly not the case. If there were two things that would mix really well, I would say peanut butter and ladies.
Your kink is not my kink, man.
It depends on the lady.
And I think we have a show title. We'll be right back with more with Jolie Odell. It's great to have you. John C. Dvorak, Will Harris, and I'm Leo Laporte. You know everything about me. This show brought to you by our good friends at GoToMyPC. Citrix makes it. It's a great tool for remote access. And, it gets better and better because it gets more and more portable. I want you to go to the site, GoToMyPC.com, and take a look at it because now GoToMyPC works on the iPhone. It's worked for years on Mac and PC. You put it on your office computer or your home computer, whatever computer you want to access. And then wherever you go, you can get to that computer via computer, of course, iPhone, iPad, Android phone. It's kind of amazing. The scenario, you might think about is you're on your way home. Here's one. You're on your way to the airport, and you just realize, oh, crap, I forgot my PowerPoint presentation. You could do what we used to do, turn around, miss your flight. Or you can keep on going, whip out your iPhone when you get to the airport, and download it using GoToMyPC. It's like having your work computer in your pocket. So whenever you need to get on to the computer, you can just log in on your Mac, your iPad, your Windows machine, your iPhone, your Android phone, your Android tablet. There's your computer. You can run you see the desktop, you can run any program, send and receive email. All your network resources are available. You can even transfer from one machine to the other. Edit PowerPoints even, or Keynote presentations, update spreadsheets, work on any file, all from your iPhone or your iPad. Very easy to set up, so much so that I'm going to give you a chance to do that right now. You don't need help from IT department. You don't need to port forward. You don't need to do anything. Just visit the website, GoToMyPC.com. Click the orange Try It Free button. Use the promo code TWiT. And you've got 30 days free of unlimited use. They used to, when we first started advertising, they'd give you an hour. I said, wait, no. I want a month from my people. I want a month of unlimited use. They said, of course. And so now you can try it for 30 days. Just do it all the time, and you'll see it's so incredible. The app for the iPhone, the iPad, all these apps, they're free, and the trial is free too. Go to mypc.com, use the offer code TWiT, and give it a try today. Now, iPhone, Android, iPad, it's just fantastic. New CEO at RIM. You know what? They needed to get rid of those clowns. Right?
Yeah, apparently.
They had a dual CEO thing. John's mic's not on. There it is. Okay.
Hello?
Well, you know the old saying, better an idiot you know than an idiot you don't know.
So now this new CEO, they got rid of Mike Lazard. What is his name?
There was a duel.
There were two. They were co-CEOs.
Yeah, co-CEOs, which is always a bad idea.
This is causing interference on my headphones.
This thing?
You unplugged my headphones. Wait a minute. Hold on.
What could I have possibly have done?
You put a giant bird. Oh,
it's a tiny little bird.
You put a giant bird on my headphones.
This is like an
angry bird.
It's an angry bird.
It's an angry bird.
Somebody made a picture of me. I look just like that, by the way. I have to find that. With chat room, if you got the link to that angry bird picture of me, let me know and I'll post it. Because I got the eyebrows.
Oh my God, you really
Kinda.
Holy moly.
You don't want to see me angry. Hello. It's on my Facebook. I'll find it. So Mike Lazaridis and Jim Balsillie.
Yeah, there we go. There's professionalism at work.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Balsillie.
Balsillie.
Silly balls and Lazaridis.
Balsillie?
They're gone. Mike and Jim are gone. Now the new CEO is Thorsten Heinz.
Oh.
He will run it very well. He was a former chief operating officer. And he has immediately said, I am going to license the BlackBerry software to anyone who wants it.
Really?
And nobody called.
And nobody called.
This is, I think, the wrong way to do it.
If you pay him, he won't license it.
People
That's the cool
say,
thing.
"Oh, he said literally, is this nuts? This is where BlackBerry RIM doesn't get their problem. Oh, my solution, I will fix the company. Anyone who wants to use the BlackBerry OS on their phone can use it."
Is this your like Werner Herzog voice?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's obvious that the thing they should do is completely the opposite. They should start leasing either Android or Windows Phone 7 and start making BlackBerries that use the other software. Is that right?
I think the first interview that Torsten gave, he was like, basically, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with the company. There's no real problem. You know, we've got a product issue, and if we just fix the product. And there was this massive sort of outcry at the beginning of last week of just like, oh my God, has this guy got a clue? And now the Financial Post is new CEO vows dramatically different strategy, and he's completely like in the space of a week.
Sound like the Nokia guy.
Some sort of nothing to see here to it's all going to completely change.
But
because this guy's the COO, so he's been in the middle of the complete.
They needed somebody from the outside, right?
Store of the last couple of years anyway. So you surely need somebody new,
right?
I mean, everybody says they know how to solve BlackBerry's problem, but I mean,
well, I don't know if I know how to solve it, but clearly offering to license our software to other hardware manufacturers is not the way to make a lot of money. He says, at the very core of RIM is our innovation. We always think ahead. We always think forward. Sometimes we think the unthinkable.
Which is what?
I don't know.
It sounds much more horrifying with that accent.
Yeah. He also said,
exactly.
we are thinking the unthinkable. He put out a YouTube video to say this, by the way.
Shoot all users.
Now, see, I think I would disagree with you that the new CEO, relatively new CEO at Nokia, actually did the right thing, which is say we're going to make Windows mobile phones. Don't you think that's going to save Nokia? You should see this 900 is
It's
gorgeous.
really
I have the
beautiful.
800, which is the 900 without without
the
G4.
900 is bigger and has a front-facing camera and has 4G. I think the 900 is spectacular. It's great, isn't it? And you
Yes,
even have a
I've
phone.
played with it. I've played with them.
She's given up on phones.
Right.
Yeah, phones are BS. So, no, I've played with them, and they're absolutely gorgeous.
I
and I
think
think
they're
it's
really
funny
nice.
to see. And here's why I'm like kind of whatever, RIM, because you see, we always kind of thought Windows Mobile was going to be in the dustbin,
Right.
Nokia definitely in the dustbin.
Right.
Yet here they come back to life, like these Lazarus companies with these beautiful, beautiful, very competitive looking
I agree.
and feeling products. So I'm not really willing to write
Yeah,
RIM
take
off
that-
yet. They still have a very strong presence in the enterprise. They are a legacy product. So I'm not going to poop all over them yet.
Use their navigator and see what you think.
Well, I agree. You mean that Avi thing? Yeah, that's...
Well, I'm telling you, I was parked in front of the for one thing, I was going to Oakland. So I said, well, let me take the 800. It's got a navigator. So
Right.
it's starting to take me on a wild goose chase. I said, wait a minute, I know where this place is because I already looked on the map. I went there. Then I punched the number in again, thinking it may have been some misspelling. And I punched it in. It showed me I was on York Street. It showed me where I was on the map. I put the address in, which I was standing in front of, and it says, okay, take off. It took me around the block and dropped me off on another street a block away. I'm thinking, this is terrible. The Google Navigator is the Android Navigator with the little picture at the end is the best thing in the
agree.
world.
I agree. That's what
So
you're competing against.
Capen in the chat room has a really good point, which is nobody really wants to license the RIM operating system, but what if you could license the RIM
server,
email server
the
technology
BES.
integrated to like iPhone, right?
Yeah. No, I agree. That's a product. I agree.
That's a product, and the messenger as well, BBM, that everybody uses, that people are
Yes.
obsessed by.
Yes.
If you could integrate BBM and BES into iPhone, Android, Windows Phone, now that would be a business.
I agree. And we're not talking about QNX or OS 6. We're talking about the server end. Why do people use BlackBerry? Because of BBM
Pretty much.
Yeah.
and because of the secure server. Businesses like
So
it.
if you're a consumer, you love, if you're a teenager, you love BBM because it's instant chat. If you're a business, you love BES because it's secure email.
Right.
And there's all this conversation around bring your own device stuff for the enterprise, and all the conversation around mobile enterprise is about security. And I think that RIM definitely has a leg up there.
But if you're bringing your own phone, this is what happened, unfortunately, to RIM. RIM was always the phone the boss gave you, but if you got to bring your own phone, you'd bring an iPhone or an Android phone. That's
and then
what
you're
happened.
using consumer apps, and there's FUD or not FUD. There's a concern about insecurity.
Right.
Not like, oh, do I look fat in this phone? But like, is this phone going to crash, my employer?
Of course, now we know that the BlackBerry RIM already gave the back end access to at least a couple of countries.
Did he now? Okay.
Yes, they did.
All right.
All right, we're going to move on. God. John Rubinstein is leaving HP. He was, boy, he didn't, you know what? I'm not sure this is another guy we would trumpet his great success. He was at Palm. When Palm was running Palm, when HP bought WebOS, ran the WebOS division, was responsible for the touchpad. You can't, this guy had a huge reputation. He was at Apple, right? And then went off to do Sidekick, right? And he had a huge reputation. And everything he's touched since then has just turned to RIM.
It's funny. There's a lot of guys that worked at Apple. You see this at Microsoft guys, too. They leave Microsoft and they go someplace else, or they leave Apple and they go someplace else, and they don't have quite the supports or social structure that they were used to rely on, and then now they're on their own. And very few of them are successful.
That's interesting. So it's not necessarily his fault, but because he wasn't in the proper environment. He had so much help from Apple.
You don't know sometimes when you're in a company that, because you got one guy making the minor suggestion every once in a while who just so happens to be the perfect suggestion for you at that moment, and you don't pay much attention to it. And
You're saying they're just cogs in machines?
Yeah, essentially. But these are big machines that work a certain way, and there are a lot of creative people in there, but that doesn't mean that they can be creative on their own. This is like the freelance writer versus the guy who has to work in a big newspaper.
All Things D's John Pachowski asked him, do you regret selling to HP? He said, I didn't have anything to do with it. He said,
God bless him.
He said, this wasn't something where I had an opinion. The process was carefully crafted, as all acquisition processes are. HP won. I don't get an opinion on the subject. I never did. That sounds like he loved HP. Huh?
Yeah, he's bitter. That's a big comment of a bitter person.
He was not where he wanted to be.
Also says to The Verge, he says, The Verge asks him, you don't want to talk about Leo Apotheker. And he says, you know what, we ended up at HP, and HP wasn't in a good enough shape to be able to support us. I had 4 CEOs. Mark Hurd acquired us, then Kathy Les Jack took over as the interim CEO, then Leo Apotheker, then Meg Whitman.
Horrible.
In the space of 19 months.
Yeah.
4 CEOs in 19 months.
All Things D said, what went wrong with the touchpad? Rubinstein says, well, it wasn't exactly given much time to find out, but I really don't want to rehash all that. He's bitter.
He's really phoning it in for that interview. Good grief.
That's bitter. It could have been done on email.
He could have been drunk. Who knows?
He could have been.
So he says he's going to spend time with his family, but he's not retiring. I'm sure he has some money, but he's not going to retire. He's thinking about what he wants to do next. He says, who knows what I'll do? Anything's possible. I don't think he's going to be a hot commodity, but maybe.
Well, it depends.
That's the saddest interview, man.
You never know.
You got to feel for the guy. He's absolutely right. We'll hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I feel really sorry for him. He's probably totally impoverished right now. No options, no nothing.
I really doubt that.
I know, right?
I think he's partying with
Poor
Jay-Z.
guy's going to
I think he's having a great time. I think he made millions of dollars.
Begging for money. He's going to be out there with a cup.
Feel sorry. I don't think so. Anywho.
Let's talk about something that's been going on for a long time in Silicon Valley. Apparently, it's very common practice for tech companies to have deals, side deals, sometimes unwritten side deals with other tech companies, not to hire their employees. So, for instance, Steve Jobs was angry when Google tried to hire an Apple employee. He called Eric Schmidt. Schmidt said, whoa, we have an agreement that we will never poach Apple employees. And he said, fire the guy who tried to recruit the Apple engineer.
Publicly. Make an example of him.
Google's staffing director responded, the employee who contacted the Apple engineer will, quote, be terminated within the hour. Please extend my apologies as appropriate to Steve Jobs. And they wanted a public flogging for the guy who dared to recruit somebody from Apple.
It's disgusting.
Now, this is illegal, and I didn't know this until I talked to a cousin who is a attorney, law professor at Harvard, and an expert on this. In fact,
this is so illegal. There's money in the bank for this employee.
This guy is a antitrust expert. He's apparently done a lot of expert testimony in this kind of thing. It violates antitrust law. You cannot.
No, you can't do that.
Collude. So,
well,
for
then
instance,
why did they have? Didn't they all sign anti-poaching agreements maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago? But Google and Apple and a couple of the other big companies got together and signed agreements.
I think they just did it orally.
Here's what.
Because if you had a signed agreement, you could pull that out. These guys are in serious trouble.
Smoking guns all left and right. There's emails. The reason, now this was settled a couple of years ago with the Department of Justice. The employees involved are now filing a class action lawsuit, so all of the documents have been unsealed. And among other things, you've got Paul Otellini of Intel, CEO of Intel, writing in an email, "Let me clarify, we have nothing signed. We have a handshake, no recruit between Eric Schmidt, and myself. I would not like this broadly known." They know perfectly well it's
what
illegal.
has Intel got to do with Google in the first place?
Well, the reason you just don't want salaries to ratchet up because
it's just like fixed, yeah.
Yeah, it's fixing the value of an engineer. So a good engineer who normally in a free market would be able to say, "You want to pay me more? I'm yours." Can't do that because these companies are saying, "No, I'm not allowed to talk to you."
Yeah, and these companies are the same ones that moan and groan about, "Oh, we can't find anybody, so bring an H-1B in from India. They can work cheap."
They're cheap.
Well, I think that's it. You can't find anybody that isn't already working for somebody else.
Right. No wonder you can't find anybody.
No, this sort of thing is very annoying.
This is some union talk.
Pixar is involved in this. Apple, Adobe, Intuit, Intel, Google, all named in this class action lawsuit.
I love the way that Intuit is named. Like they're the same as like.
Well, you know why?
It's a mail order company.
Today, like,
I can tell you why. It's interlocking board of directors. So Bill Campbell, who was president of Intuit, is on Apple's board.
Right.
Eric Schmidt is on Apple's board. It's all interlocking directorates. And that's what happens is these guys, after the board meeting, they get together, they have a couple of drinks, "I won't hire you guys. You don't hire mine." It's
closer to the truth than you can imagine.
You've been there.
I've seen it.
And I'll tell you another thing.
You're a good guy.
I love you.
You know, you're a good guy. You're just great. Yeah.
I remember we hired somebody from Revision 3, and Jim Latterback was a little irate. He was pretty irate.
Who is this?
I won't say.
Come on.
He said, "You're poaching my employees." And I said, "Yes." And it would be just as illegal if I said to Jim Latterback, "Oh, sorry, I won't hire anybody from Revision 3 again. And you may not hire anybody from TWiT again."
Yeah, but what's the point?
This is because
you guys aren't even in the same zip code by any means. I mean, you're up here in the middle of nowhere.
I don't believe the law requires you to be in the same zip code. But my point would be, well, if you want to keep an employee, pay him more. But this is exactly what these guys don't want to do.
No, cheap.
Cheap.
They pay themselves more, I might add.
So,
now they're all guessing in the chat room who it might be. Veronica, Eileen, Tom, Sarah.
They know exactly. I've hired some of my best people from competing companies. Almost all of them.
They're not really competing with you anyway.
No, we're all friends. Jim wasn't mad for very long. The Apple says we care about every single employee who makes any Apple product. But they are getting a lot of heat now. I think it's unfair to single out Apple. I think every bit of gear that we buy today is made by the same Chinese employees in the same factories, Foxconn and Shenzhen factories.
Yeah, 2 or 3 of them.
But the Times is all over Apple for this, talking about the fact that, for instance, workers assembling iPhones, iPads, and other devices labor in harsh conditions, excessive overtime, some cases 7 days a week, live in crowded dorms. Some say they stand so long their legs swell until they can hardly walk. Underage workers help build Apple's products. Apple did take, I think, appropriate step by finally disclosing their suppliers. They weren't even doing that.
Well, that was several weeks ago, or a couple weeks ago, that Apple disclosed its list of suppliers, and along with it, a fairly detailed report on each kind of abuse they found in each factory that they visited. And I was surprised that, there were some that had indentured type labor. They had slave labor and child labor.
Oh, that's interesting.
I was surprised, not too surprised, that they didn't immediately sever any business relationship with all those plants that were employing people that way. But,
Well,
again, they're a business. There's no morality. There's
I
no
don't think it's
profit.
possible.
That's where the Times jumps in and they start talking about this.
Well, they
And
made
Tim
a
Cook-
human story out of it.
Right.
Which
Tim
I
Cook-
think I was reading it and I'm seeing these statistics. Like there are explosions, there's child labor, there are people involved, which Apple can't afford to think about.
Tim Cook writes, some people are questioning Apple's values today. Any suggestion that we don't care is patently false and offensive to us, as you know better than anyone. And he's writing to the Apple employees. Accusations like this are contrary to our values. It's not who we are. So the question is, what are they going to do about it? And I think you're right, John. They don't. Here's what I'd love Apple to do. We've talked about this a little bit before. I would love them to offer products as a choice. They don't have to make them all this way. But say you could buy an iPhone for 25% more. You could buy an iPhone made in the U.S.
Like organic fruit and fair trade diamonds?
Exactly.
Okay, I think it's patently false and offensive for Apple to suggest that that company or any technology company has any kind of morality at all or any values other than make it cheap, make a shit ton of them, excuse my language, and sell them to everybody you can. Those are their values. They don't care. No one can.
So you're saying that when Google says do no evil, when Apple says
It doesn't
we have
mean a damn
values,
thing.
you don't believe it. You
It's
don't buy
all
it.
PR. And it is what it is. You know what? In America, 200 years ago, we had the same labor conditions. Now we don't.
It's true.
And we can't, as we've previously discussed, live our lives without computers and phones and microphones and whatever else you want to buy. All of this stuff comes from China. All of it's made in this way. Why are we so surprised that there are human stories behind it?
But
why does it take a human story to get us pissed off?
Well,
that
that's true,
bothers
too,
me.
because the truth is, I think every single person who buys products made in China knows in their heart of hearts that these standards are, the American standards are probably not applied to Chinese workers.
But I think
we
your
don't
idea
wanna
about
know.
made in America iPhones, like that's a good
Let's
idea.
give us an opportunity. There have been
People would
studies
pay
that
more
say
for that.
there have been studies that say it wouldn't cost as
It costs very little more, but to be honest about it, let me ask you just a gratuitous question. Would you rather buy a Lexus made in South Carolina or a Lexus made just outside of Tokyo in the Tokyo plant?
Well, but I don't think Tokyo Japanese workers are mistreated, are they?
No, I'm just asking this question.
The Tokyo plant, because I like the robots.
You like the quality.
Is there a difference?
Oh yeah. What do you think?
I'll be honest. When I bought my Lexus in 2001, I did not inquire.
It was probably made in Japan.
I think it was made in Japan. But I did not inquire. And maybe I should have inquired, but I didn't even think to inquire.
Well, I have to say, I haven't seen a massive, because, I mean, Apple used to make their stuff in the States.
Steve Jobs very famously insisted on that.
Drop off in quality.
Yeah. No, Steve insisted.
He didn't insist that hard.
This is the story in the biography, how he had to paint all the machines were painted. There was one that was painted blue that never worked right again. He bought very expensive furniture. He had these American factories. The original Apples were made in America. I believe the original Macs were made for a long time in America. So he might have cared, but I think when the problem is when you need to make 50 million of them, you can't make them.
Or people are specializing in phones.
Yeah.
I guess what one of the points that was being made, and I think that there sort of came out that Steve Jobs made to Obama, was that you can't. You can add the cost of the labor and say in the cost of the components and say, okay, it's going to cost you 10% or 20% more to make these things in America. What you can't do is have a production line that will just kind of run with sort of half a minute's notice and just absolutely churn through these things in the same way that you can in the Far East, because the labor laws mean, you won't be able to work like 13-hour shifts or 16-hour shifts and be able to work, 7 days a week, 24/7. And then it's only by the sort of Eastern manufacturing processes, so the story goes, that Apple can have these amazing sort of time to markets of, design something and have it.
It's not just profit; it's time to market.
Well, there's that, but there's also one element. I'll back up Jolie on this, which is the Chinese are actually probably selling stuff for more than we know about. I mean, they can make stuff incredibly cheap over there, and at some point it comes to the board and somebody says, because somebody will present them with this and they say, look, you can be making an extra $10 an iPhone, and we're selling 30 million of them. That's
a lot of money.
A lot of money. And why are we making them here? And that you have to, you're the CEO or whoever, and you have to answer that question.
We got to make
well, because they got child labor over there.
And it comes to your point about, you have a responsibility, a fiduciary responsibility to your shareholders. When someone shows you a graph with a line that goes a little bit higher, you say yes to China.
But you could also, and this is the thing, is it's not a clear-cut decision because, as you pointed out, making customers happy is also a fiduciary responsibility. If customers are saying to
they're
you...
happy.
We
Apple
would,
users,
well, they're happy
give me
now,
a break.
But that's why we need to raise awareness. If
well, that's why
customers
Apple put out this big report like, oh, we know this is going on, and we're working with companies to remediate these things. That was a big PR piece, whatever. Yeah. I don't know if they're doing anything or what they're doing, but only because Apple sells so much product and buys so much product from China can they put pressure on those companies to change. And can they amplify any pressure workers might be putting on employers to change working conditions? But this goes back to like labor law.
Right.
We have, we're indignant, we're Americans, we're extremely privileged. We didn't have these labor laws 200 years ago or, some of them even 70 years ago.
No, that's true.
Well,
someone in the chat room mentioned Upton Sinclair, and yeah, I think we need an Upton Sinclair for this.
The jungle.
But it's not going to be New York Times.
But that's why I think the Apple would say, well, we're going to stay in these countries and we're going to push for improved labor laws. We're raising the standards of living, and now we want to raise the standards of labor in China and the countries that we work in. Brazil, for instance, they just built a new plant in Brazil. And it's like that old, we'll change the system from within. We're better off being there and impacting it.
Do you change the system, or do you integrate it and become part of it?
Well, it's probably very tempting.
Are we enabling the system?
It's probably very tempting to be to say, we'll just take the profits. But I know what you're saying, but I do also think, yes, corporates are amoral, but they're made of people who are moral and who do have values. And so I think it's...
Some.
Some. I'm not saying all. I think there's this Smithers. What is his name? Yes, Smithers. I think
Mr. Burns.
Mr. Burns.
There's a Mr. Burns in many
it's interesting because Intel makes all its chips in the U.S. I'm pretty sure. Well,
but there's a lot that has a lot to do with security laws in this country. We have there's a lot of laws that are put in place by the NSA and the CIA about how certain kinds of chips can't really be made someplace else. So. And I don't think they make all their chips in the U.S.,
Good conversation. We're going to talk more. How much would you pay to get in on the Facebook IPO? We'll talk about that in just a second. But first, let me talk to the small business owners out there. It's fun running your own business is fun.
It's hilarious.
It's a laugh a minute. I enjoy, what are you showing there? Hello. There's nothing there. There's just a bird. I enjoy running my own business, but there are some things I do not enjoy, especially when I first started. I did not enjoy invoicing. But as we all know, if you do not bill, you do not get paid. And that's why in 2004, when Amber MacArthur told me about FreshBooks, I jumped, and I love it, and I've used it ever since. It's the easy online invoicing service for small business. It saves you time. Maybe more importantly, gets you paid more quickly. Over 3.5 million FreshBooks users know. You could try the service free for 30 days of unlimited use right now at freshbooks.com. So here's the deal. Creating the invoices, you could do it in Word. I mean, a lot of you have ways to do this. FreshBooks, you upload your logo. They've got great software. It handles all the currencies, by the way, which is great. But even if you say, well, I can do all that, here's the beauty part. You email your invoice. Your customers can print it as a PDF. If you pay an additional fee, FreshBooks will also print, stamp, and mail it as well. But you want them to do the invoicing via email because there's a button on the invoice that says pay right now. And your clients can press that button and play with a credit card. They can even set it up, and you can set it up so you automatically invoice and automatically get paid. It is really the way to make invoicing streamlined, fast, and efficient. There's automatic features like if you don't get paid, you can have a 30, 60, 90-day response that's automatic. If you do time and hours, your timesheets are automatically entered into the invoice. They have an app for the iPhone. They have a web-based app as well. There's just so many nice features. I want you to try it. Free right now. 30 days of unlimited use. All the features. Clients, staff, everything. No limits. Just by signing up at freshbooks.com. Tell them you heard about it on TWiT if they ask. it's not advertised on the site. This is something that we do for you here. It's some inside information. But if you sign up right now, they will not charge you for 30 days of unlimited use. So sign up for everything, all the features, all the clients. Try it all free for 30 days at freshbooks.com. I'm a big fan. Fortunately, I have people to do that for me now. I don't have to worry about that anymore. Boy, that was a pain. Facebook. Now, it's a rumor. It's been in the Wall Street Journal. It's been in the New York Times. But Facebook supposedly will file an IPO. You know how I know this is true?
How?
I saw a post, I think it was on Path, from Loic Lemur, the world-famous French entrepreneur.
Your buddy.
My bud. Nothing. Go ahead.
What?
He's biting an orange. My bud.
How else you get the orange started?
No, that's the only way.
Fingernails, yeah.
Just bite right into it.
There's a couple people I know that when I do that, they get grossed out or they start to get the shivers.
I'm shaking. No, I don't care. Go ahead.
Some
and bite
people
it.
seem to.
You know why? Because there's a. Isn't there an explosive juice in the rind? Can't you like light it on fire and the?
No,
oil?
that's orange peel oil. It's
gonna
really
blow up.
delicious.
And they use it to kill termites.
You can spray it on ants with a little take a match and then you squeeze the thing and then the sprays go out and burns and the ants catch on fire.
You did that
With the kid when I was a kid.
Wow. Now we know a little bit about
I think
John.
we need to take a break.
Oh, my God. We just took a break, so we're going to come back.
Okay.
So I was talking about Facebook, right?
A blood orange.
Yeah, you know what? I was
so
at
Loic Lemur,
I was
it
at Facebook
okay.
not yesterday,
You
but
can
the
tell
day
me
before.
your anecdote that will confirm this.
Let's talk about Loic first.
Yeah,
though,
he was
because all
at
they told me was no
Davos.
comment. That
Davos,
was it.
which is the World Economic Forum, right? Sheryl Sandberg is there.
Scoble went once.
Scoble's still there. Scoble goes every year. Scoble, Bono, Mick Jagger, and
Because
Loic.
they're all on the
I
plane.
thought they
yes,
rousted
Scoble
Scoble
playing
because he was
fields.
annoying.
He isn't.
Jolie.
No, he was up going filming everybody with the
Jay-Z,
camera.
everybody's there. I don't know. I thought Scoble went this year.
I thought he went once and then
they
because he
never
was
let him back.
because he's always, "Hi, I'm Robert Scoble. Who are you?" And he's pointing the camera in their face.
What's your name? I love Robert. Anyway,
We all love Robert.
We all love Robert. Anyway, Loic says to Sheryl, "Congratulations on the IPO," because he's trying to get. He's a good.
Says like on the internet or with
No,
his words.
face to face, talking to her. Like
Okay.
I'm
so
talking
you
to you.
do you want to be him or do you want?
Well,
me
I'm
to
going to
be
read his post because I
Okay.
don't know. I wasn't there, so I
you
don't.
guys going to do a little play
There's like
here? in
no
front of us?
video of it. But basically, he says she gave him a very broad, happy smile, not like
Like
she
an
didn't say anything.
F you smile?
No,
or, like I'm gonna be so rich.
I am rich, baby.
Yeah, okay.
Like she didn't deny, not like a smile like I can't
Smile
say
that only
anything,
comes
like,
from money.
like that kind of smile. So that's not proof. I'm not saying it's
Did
proof.
Loic tell you that?
He put it on Path. I probably shouldn't have
Oh.
repeated it. I have a.
Too
Well,
late.
no, isn't Path for
No,
like shared with
Path's-
a private small?
Yeah.
Now Leo.
That's what happens when you put your private
So
stuff
now
on
the whole internet knows that Sheryl Sandberg is really excited about Facebook's IPO. Well, they're filing.
She
if they're
said
filing,
not a word. But I'm thinking,
what's-
I'm putting my money on it that it's this week that they will have an IPO. What do you think?
No, they
You were
won't.
there?
No, there's no way.
I was there.
You can't get the
You know,
paperwork done.
I
in
went
a
to their
week.
new campus. It is as big
File,
as a
not-
shopping
not
mall.
do
It's
the
so
IPO,
big.
but
Okay, file.
Huge.
It's huge.
It's so huge. And the parking lot is like a daggone airport parking lot. It's enormous. Anyways, I was there. And I said, so, there's a trumor in whatever it was,
Is that
Wall
what it's
Street
called?
Journal.
It's
Yeah.
like, if it's a journal, it's a
Oh,
rumor.
it's a rumor and nobody knows. But
If-
no, we knew.
If it's news of the world, it's a rumor. But if it's the Wall Street Journal, it's a
Right.
rumor.
Bat Boy, rumor.
Right.
Journal, slightly less.
News of the world in the U.S. is very different from news in the world in the U.K., by the way, Will.
So anyways, no, haven't we known for some time that the IPO was coming in
Sometime.
2012?
I think there's legal reasons they have to do
Yeah,
it soon.
SEC type
No.
reasons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
once
they
you
have
get
to do it before
Oh, it was
the next
because they got
body
more
because they have
shareholders.
so many shareholders.
Is it more than 5,000 shareholders? Because they
that's right.
have
Yeah, they
at least
got-
that many employees and ex-employees, and then private shareholders who bought
Once
stock
you
on the
cross-
private secondary market.
once you cross a threshold, the SEC requires you go public with if you have enough shareholders.
And you know what? They hit that 500 shareholders limit before last spring, I
Right.
happen to know.
So they have a year.
halted all sales of private stock. So they have to file. So if it's this week, it'll be like, big friggin' surprise, worst kept secret in Silicon Valley, whatever.
Now, when they file the IPO,
I want to know why we're talking about this.
oh, this is a huge story. This is
Gossip.
going to be the biggest tech IPO
gossip, that's what it
since Netscape. Wouldn't you want to get in on this?
No.
Would you not want to buy stock? No?
No. You know,
Really?
I invest for the long term. I mean, I'm not a day trader type. I invest in things that are going to be valuable in 30 years.
It's going to be valuable tomorrow. It's going to be valuable in 5 hours after it goes on.
Yeah, but who knows? Because the thing about tech stock, you never know when it's going to take that turn. You can't anticipate it. You can't predict it.
No, you sell it the next day.
So
You could, but I can't speculate like that. You know, it's
Look, Will
unethical.
Harris just made millions of dollars selling his company. He knows all about it. I don't know how much you made.
So if you
Millions? Really?
are a Goldman's customer,
You would know. You can extrapolate.
I can't extrapolate. I don't know how much I
You
owned.
could get Goldman's.
You can. You
We're
can
back here
extrapolate.
again.
I
We're
should look at-
talking
I should look at the
about your
documents.
hammer
What percentage
money.
did he have, Will?
People. If you had Goldman's,
Just
if you could get
wondering.
into Goldman's, and if you were in that IPO, you could get pre-IPO stock, and you could flip it maybe 10 seconds after it IPOs for double the amount it's going to be.
Exactly.
It's going to double within 30 seconds.
And that's why it's so reprehensible that the companies, I think Morgan Stanley is going to be the lead underwriter, with Goldman Sachs playing a secondary role. That means that if you are a special customer of these brokerages, you often get, what do they call it? There's a word.
Bribery.
like a sweetheart deal.
Yeah, you get
It's
to
a sweetheart
buy in.
deal.
You get to buy in before it hits the open market, which means you're buying in at the strike, the initial
Strike
price,
right?
And the initial price
The
is
initial price
on
is
a hot, on a hot.
Oh,
now,
yeah, it'll last for 10 seconds.
now with
but
Groupon, you might have lost a lot of money, but Google, it was tripled within.
If you bought Groupon at the IPO offer,
You'd still make money.
Well, you were an idiot.
You still made 30 or 40% within a couple of minutes.
Right.
But I mean, capitalism isn't supposed to be fair, is it? I mean, the rich get richer, and that's what
No, it is
deals like
supposed to
that
be
are
fair.
about.
It's supposed to be fair.
So the company
But it isn't.
reportedly
I
seeking
think you'd
to
have to be
raise
naive.
10
Crony
billion.
capitalism isn't.
Sorry, go ahead.
This is crony
This is your
capitalism.
show.
It's
Yeah,
exactly
this is
what it
crony
is.
capitalism.
Yeah.
Crony
Because
capitalism
of
is
who
not
you
fair.
know, because of who you know, you get special access to the money.
Yeah.
That is not what capitalism is. You're supposed to work hard, create a value, innovate,
You still think that?
and the market
It's a fact.
the market will reward
Just because it
you.
doesn't work.
I'm liking you more and more. The old
If you're
hippies
Goldman
coming out.
Sachs and
No,
Morgan
I'm-
Stanley, you've pitched for the business. So in a sense,
How am
that
I
is
naive?
capitalism.
Sorry.
So, but this is, by the way, why I thought it was very interesting. Google, remember, did an auction, and avoided. I think they avoided this kind of crony capitalism. They did a very interesting deal with a San Francisco firm, and I've forgotten the name.
It was Hambrecht.
Hambrecht, yeah, Hambrecht and Quist. And
No, it's just Hambrecht.
Just
Bill-
Hambrecht.
it was
Bill-
Hambrecht's
Bill's all by
operation,
himself now. And it was a very clever way of avoiding. They wanted to avoid this whole issue of insider.
Well, here's the problem that you run into. These companies get screwed by the system because you.
Well, that's the other side of it.
Yeah, that's the main part of it. You bring out an IPO worth $10 million, let's say, and the stock triples, making the offering potentially worth $30 million.
Right.
So you want to do it as a Dutch auction, so you get all that money instead of some speculators who just get in early and they make a quick killing. These firms don't like that, of course, because they can't give their buddies some deal. And that's why they're not, Dutch auctions, you don't see them that often.
Well, I was actually looking up a Dutch auction. I take it has nothing to do with
The Dutch.
Nothing
Is it
to
like
do with
a
Dutch oven
Dutch
either.
oven or something?
It's Google's, which was back in 2004, was the largest IPO ever, 1.9 billion. Facebook's talking about 10 billion.
Yeah, it seems a little high.
Google did, in fact, because of this auction, they thought they were gonna go off at $108 to $135. They ended up going off at $85 a share. But of course, what is Google now? Almost 600, something like that. 400?
No, it's 6 something.
Yeah.
It may be under 6
And
now.
they may even
I'm
have been
not
splits
sure.
in between then. So
No,
It's
Google's never done a split.
$5.79.
579. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
They've never done a split.
So Facebook's, if they do $10 billion, would value the company at between $75 and $100 billion. Does that sound right?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, God, who can tell?
Yes, no,
No.
can tell.
Well, same
Who
thing.
can tell slash
It's a
identify?
tie, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
think no, I'm going to break the tie. I'm going to break the tie. They're worth twice that.
Okay, good for you.
They are, it's hard to imagine a world in which Facebook is not hugely valuable.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like
I can
5
imagine
years
that
from
world.
now, I can too. I can imagine 5 years before now.
Well, I'm not saying it's not risky.
It will wax and wane,
It's
just
not-
like all technology
I'm
companies.
not saying it's not risky because, of course, MySpace disappeared when Facebook showed up. But I do think there's a barrier to entry that gets bigger and bigger.
I'm not going to argue the point.
Yeah.
It will, it will
you're
become
saying it's worth more.
irrelevant when you least expect it.
Will, why do you think it's worth so much?
Because I think they're only just getting started.
That's what I think, too.
I think if you look at what Facebook has achieved in, the last 4 years, and you look at what Google achieved in the 4 years after IPO, like I remember when Google IPO'd and it was like, really, $85? Like, that's a lot of money for that, for like a search engine stock. And, of course, if you bought it then, 10 years later or whatever it is, you're laughing. So I think Facebook is just getting started. I would honestly think it could go to 2, 3, 4 times that in the next decade.
I would agree in one way and not in the other. Of course, they've got 800 million members. You can't get much bigger. There's only, 2 billion people on the internet. Not even that. So they've almost got everybody.
They're saturated.
But what you haven't...
but if you look at what Facebook does in terms of monetization...
That's where they've just gotten started.
They are massively under-monetized.
Exactly.
Well, they're also just getting started with Facebook credits, and I think from talking to them, I think that's their biggest area of opportunity. Ads are going to become maybe even secondary as Facebook credits. We think of them as something you use to play Farmville. Eventually, they'll be something you can use in the real world to buy bread.
It's cash. They will own the new currency. Are you kidding? And it'll be a global currency. It's the next euro. No, I agree with you 100%, Will. They've saturated...
It's not the next euro.
Well, let's hope it's better than that. They've saturated the potential audience, but they've barely
scratched the surface of screwing them out of their money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
you're
going
right.
to start squeezing us till they get every drop of goodness. Excellent. So Mark Zuckerberg, this guy is going to be, he's got what, 5%? He's got a big stake in Facebook.
No,
still.
Zuckerberg's got at least 25%.
25%. So this guy's going to be immediately Warren Buffett class billionaire. He's going to be one of the top 5 richest people in the world. Immediately. Like, boom. Is it going to change Facebook, though? He's always said, I don't want investors. I don't want a board, outside investors.
Yeah, he's got one now.
He wanted to keep Facebook private, and certainly he has very much influenced the direction of Facebook. He's been able to run that company. Is it going to change it?
Yeah, I think big time. In fact, my son, who's a student of Facebook, and Zuckerberg in particular, says that as far as he's concerned, Zuckerberg is a genius, and they're taking away his power very slowly. There's a lot of new ideas showing up on Facebook that are definitely not Zuckerberg's ideas, and they're going to end up screwing it up because Zuckerberg's not a very aggressive person. He's like an Asperger's guy. He's almost like a Bill Gates character.
Definitely.
And he's going to lose control.
I think that's exactly right. I think the one thing that Zuckerberg has always been very canny about doing is making incremental changes and doing things quite slowly. It's taken a long time for Facebook monetization to get to where it is now, to the point, do we just have ads now in the news feed?
Yeah.
And that's been a long time coming.
And I admire that.
The thing is, you can do that when you're a private company. Right. When you're a public company, as we were saying earlier,
you're fiduciarily bound.
Apple, it's like, right, now you have a fiduciary duty to make as much money as humanly possible as quickly as possible. And that could be a massive step change for Facebook.
I think so. And I think maybe not a change for the best. So maybe you're right, Jolie.
Well, how long did it take Google to make that change from making good products that people love to making products that are kind of creepy, maybe a little bit?
So maybe
it took them at least, I would say, a few years.
So I don't think they're making.
You just said you
product.
were nobody's fanboy, and I like Google.
No, that's somebody there said I'm nobody's fanboy. I'm a big fanboy of this navigation product on the Google phone.
And I agree that one works.
I like when you pull up and there's a picture of the building.
I know. Isn't that neat?
Yeah, but it's also creepy. That's creepy. It's creepy. But it is cool.
Especially if you can see people coming out to greet you.
It's cool and creepy at the same time.
It is.
Yeah.
That's Google right in a nutshell.
Well, that's going to be Facebook. Already is Facebook a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool and creepy at the same time.
Yeah.
And then something better is going to come along.
Sting in the chat room says that Mark Zuckerberg is going to end up like Jerry Yang.
Oh, that's sad.
That could happen. Kind of takes himself out of the picture.
So a lot of people like Sheryl Sandberg will become billionaires probably. You know who's going to become a billionaire? Sean Parker has 5% of Facebook. That's 3 to 20 billion.
You know what's cool, Leo?
What?
$1 billion.
He said that in the movie, didn't he? You're absolutely right. He got his billion.
He got his billion.
Got his billion.
Well,
it's kind of amazing. If you step back a little bit and we're really in it, and there's we all have opinions about Facebook and privacy and what kind of person Zuck is and all of that stuff.
Zuck?
I call him Zuck.
Oh, okay.
We're allowed to. If you eat the meat, you get to call him Zuck.
Zuck.
So if you take all that away and you just think that this was a company started by a Harvard sophomore, about 10 years ago, right? And the value,
not even that.
Not even that.
No.
And the value that has been created by this one company in such a short time is stunning. And it could only happen in this technology. There's no factory spewing smoke. There's no Chinese indentured servants. It's almost a virtual company. It's bits, and the value that he's created out of nothing is mind-boggling.
Can we have a clip of that?
Sure.
Clip that thing.
I mean, all of the other stuff aside, it really is truly incredible.
It's inspiring, and you also have to think about the environmental impact. If you don't want to talk about that, that's okay.
Servers, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they are doing a lot in the way of data center optimization.
Servers, but yeah.
They are, and they're doing really good work with their open sourcing of their hardware specs. But I think there are always underbellies, and when you are building a company as monumental as that, it's an inspiring story.
I would submit that's almost a sunk fixed cost, because if it weren't Facebook, it would be somebody else. We're saying is people who are using the internet are using a lot of power. But if they weren't using Facebook, they'd be using. I don't think.
No, if they weren't using Facebook, they'd be outside riding their bicycles.
I disagree.
Facebook invites you to and games you to.
More?
Yeah, are you kidding? Are you silly? Of course they do. That's their #1 thing that they want to do. They want to get you to spend more time on the site so they can understand you and serve you ads. That's their fiduciary responsibility.
I understand. They're wildly successful at that. But you think that absent Facebook, we wouldn't be even on the internet?
We wouldn't be on the internet as much. Maybe 10 to 20%
Some people are
less.
on Facebook all the time. They're just on Facebook.
It's what they do, and it's how they connect with their friends.
Well, if that's the case, then you're absolutely right. Facebook has a
If it weren't for
responsibility.
Facebook, you would be seeing your friends in person.
So there is
driving to see them
walking to see them, calling them on the
burning
phone.
car.
There is a study that just came out, just being reported today out of Stanford, and they're finding a reverse correlation between people who are on Facebook a lot and their social life that's deteriorating by the minute.
Well,
the more you're on Facebook, the more of a introverted weirdo you become.
No,
it could be destroying the country.
So
that's you old fart's definition of a social life. My social life is great. I'm hanging out with my friends in Farmville. I'm fighting dragons in Skyrim.
I mean, count me as an old fart. I mean, I have a wonderful time with my friends.
That's what we have you on.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Especially with Dvorak. You
that's
two
what
go together.
You can just see that under her.
By old farts.
It's not going to happen.
Young and old farts. Yeah, it's a really interesting point, Jolie, that I actually hadn't really thought about, that you think that Facebook could say...
I challenge you, go without Facebook for a few days and see how much...
I do it all the time, but I use Google Plus. I use other stuff.
Okay.
Look, I'm online all the time, so I can't judge.
You're a mess, sir.
I'm a mess. But I do think it's an interesting supposition that without Facebook, we'd use the internet, you say 20% less?
10 to 20, I think, the average person.
Chat room, does that sound right? Would you use the internet 20%
Yeah, does
less?
my bald speculation based on nothing sound right to you
Asking
guys?
the chat room is nuts.
They live in the chat room.
Yeah, these guys are completely...
They use it all the time.
Yeah. Most of these guys can't even find the front door of their house anymore.
I'm saying yes, no...
I would bet at least half of them are wearing catheters right now.
With Diet Coke going in.
No, I'm just curious. I mean, you're right. The chat room probably, because these are hardcore, guys and gals are hardcore internet users, probably absent Facebook. But I don't know if you can blame Facebook for all of that extra internet use. I don't know if that, I think we would use the internet in some other way. If Facebook hadn't been created, we would have had it.
Not without the mechanisms they've created to keep you on. They have very, very powerful mechanisms to keep you on and to get your friends to sign up for it, too.
You agree, Will?
But I think one of the most important things about Facebook over the next sort of 5 years, the next phase of Facebook, is actually the sort of mass decentralization of Facebook. So whilst we think about Facebook now as something you go on and do.
Right, Facebook everywhere.
I think Facebook now is going to start to be like just something that is, you're somewhere on the web and, it's already there. You're commenting on Facebook. You're logged in to get your personalized preferences for a particular site on Facebook. somebody in the chat room was saying, what's the bet that Facebook credits will be legal tender in 7-Eleven, within the next 5 years?
I think so.
So Facebook is not going to be something that you do. It's just going to be something that's just part of your life, like your wallet or your phone.
Yeah, and Will, what you're talking about, that's exactly what they're going for.
That's their strategy.
That's their business.
Facebook everywhere.
To make Facebook and the
my
internet
wallet.
synonymous. They want it to be all the same.
I,
Well,
for
Google's has
one,
the same
welcome
goal.
the leaders from Facebook.
I
The
love
balance.
you know what?
Brian in the chat room says that I'm nuts.
No.
Fair enough.
In Zuck we trust.
I admit it's working on me because remember I left Facebook about a year ago because I was so upset with their privacy policy.
quit it?
I quit and I came back and now I love it.
Did they give you the shot or the chip?
What shot?
Okay.
I love Facebook.
He scanned for chips, so it has to be the shot.
You know what I really like?
Maybe it was the shock therapy.
And they turned this on this week. Everybody's getting Timeline. I love Timeline.
It is pretty, isn't it?
It's more than
A
pretty.
lot
It's
of people hate
awesomeness.
Timeline.
Who hates Timeline?
People.
Only people
Oh,
who hate
everyone.
life.
Okay, I talked to the guy who designed it, one of the guys who led the design team for it, and he said that they looked
Sam
at...
Lesson.
I love him.
Sam
He's
is the
adorable.
greatest guy in the world.
He said that they looked at scrapbooks and like physical mementos, that are strongly tied
This
to
is
memory
like a
and reminiscence. It is. It's supposed to make you
scrap-
nostalgic.
It
And you
does.
scroll
Why do you
back.
want to be
Look,
made nostalgic?
I go all the way back to my birth
people
on
live in
this.
the past.
And you can see me as a baby with my
we don't
dad.
want to
Oh,
see you
you're
as a
such
baby.
a cute baby. I want to see that.
See?
I don't want to see it.
But I would submit this, and I would ask Sam about it. By the way, Sam is
You're such a cute baby.
Sam is a great guy to run.
We don't
that.
even know that's really him.
Yeah, I just. It's
You're
just
right.
They put up a bunch of
It's
phony
stock
pictures.
photo.
My
It's
naivete
a
got the
stock
best
photo.
of me,
Stock
John.
photo
Stock
from the
baby
Chicago
photo.
Sun-Times.
Look, if you go to 2003, you'll find a picture of me from the screensavers. So here's the thing that I find interesting, and I would love what Sam's take on this. By the way, if you ever get a chance to play Werewolf, he's a great werewolf leader, Sam
Oh,
is.
yeah?
Here's my question. That's 2003. So that's
Wow,
right.
what happened?
I looked good then. So I would bet that the only people who ever look at the Facebook timeline are the people whose timeline it is.
Or if they're stalking you.
Or if they're like somehow evil and creepy. But it's not normal. I would never go to John's timeline and browse it.
Unless you were stalking me,
Yeah.
which seems highly unlikely. Yeah, uh-huh.
Well, what if you met someone new, and you were, intrigued by this person?
That would be
for one
very
reason or
much
another.
a reason
If
to
you're
do
an
it.
employer
Yes.
or if you're someone's
Yes.
stalker, I don't know.
Stalker.
Future loved one, but it's very intimate.
Future loved one.
It is.
Future. I'm not a stalker. I'm your future loved one.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, how would you like
That's
that?
not creepy at
And
all.
then they have a shrine in their closet with your pictures all over it.
But you
or
know
just
what?
a spare net book
Is this,
with your
is
timeline.
this so different from what we
That's
do
the,
anyway?
This is the modern shrine. She nailed it.
It's a shrine
It's
to
a
me.
shrine.
Just get some candles, man.
But look, we just finished our baby book. My son is 19 years old. My wife 17 years old, finally finished his baby book because that's how long. I mean, it's like finally gets around to it. Who's going to look at that? Nobody's ever going to look at that.
Your wife.
That's right.
You.
It's a very limited, narrow audience.
Sister.
No, she doesn't
Stalkers
care.
and employers,
And
really.
stalkers. Employers.
And the employers part, that's one where you get back to teens and consequences, and you have to really carefully trim down what's in your
Well,
timeline.
what's kind of weird about this is
Drop out.
I've put so much stuff now in my Facebook timeline that they're actually abridging it. They're cutting stuff out. They're like saying,
What does that tell you, Leo?
If you want to see more, click here because frankly, there's way too much crap in this. So I don't know, but I love this.
I
love
used to be a radio host.
Yeah, then I got
That's
shot
cute.
in the knee with an arrow. The thing I love. Okay, so here, this is.
We don't want to see that picture.
No, but this
What
is
kind of a picture is this? This is not a good picture. This is not flattering.
no, but look,
This is like a butcher or something. You're choking someone.
It looks like Sweeney Todd a little bit. You're
does.
right.
And somebody put in here, turned this into an Angry Birds. This is why I went to that.
Your head
Yeah.
is the Angry Bird?
It's the beginning.
Oh, that's pretty
the
cool.
starting point for an Angry Bird. You ready? This is from Mark Jefferson. He calls it Angry Leos.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Great.
Da-da-dum-dum, da-da-dum-dum, da-da-da-da-da-da-dum-dum. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to... Wait a minute, I got to do the eyebrows.
There it is.
Okay. We're going to take a break. Come back with more.
Screen capture.
I love Facebook. Don't you all love Facebook?
Who's giving you stock now?
Yeah, he's trying. It's too late.
Too late. No, I don't take. You know what? He
doesn't take stock.
I don't take
except
stock.
from
by accident. I took stock from one guy.
Pals.
It made me rich, and I don't know
Fell
what
and
to
landed
do.
on some
Well,
stock.
I think you should just sell the company
I
while you're
slipped
at
and
it.
fell. The stock fell off a truck, and no. Anyway, thank you, Will, for making me a wealthy.
I used to ignore tech stocks, but then I took an arrow to the knee.
Hey, let's take you to audible.com, which is one of my favorite places to get some reading done. Audible is a bookstore of audiobooks. It's the best ever. If you go to audible.com/twit2 right now, you could sign up for 2 books. Hey, John, when you go into my office, there's something on my bookshelves you might want. That's actually somebody sent it for you. Just this is like an I Spy with my little eye. Just look around and see if there's something that would just jump out at you as obviously intended for John C. Dvorak. We'll see if he sees it.
Clorox Handy Wipes.
Not the Clorox Handy Wipes.
Is it a MacBook Air?
It's a copy of OS 10, IBM's OS 2, which John was a big OS 2 fan. So let's see if John finds it. Can we see a camera to see if he's looking in there? It's kind of dark in there, but I'm wondering if he's looking around. Nope. Keep looking. It's something you loved way back when, John. Way back when. He's looking around. He's searching. It might be on the bookshelf there, John. Meanwhile, back to audible.com. So 100,000 books now, audiobooks. And I tell you, and you've heard me talk about this. I just started listening to the new Stephen King, 11/22/63. I love time travel stories. This is a great one. No, not the Scotch. Although if you want to bring that out, you could. Keep looking, John. Do you think he'll find OS 2 Warp? It's a sealed box just for him. That's all right. Go back to Audible. That's fine. Audible.com/twit2 will sign you up. Go ahead. Help him find it. Is there anybody around that can help him find it? I think it's on the bookshelf there. OS 2 Warp in a sealed box. Audible is going to... Look at John. Nope, that's not it. There's a lot of stuff in there. It's kind of jammed with stuff. On the bookshelves, John. No.
Are those yellow clogs?
Those are yellow clogs. Very good.
And is that a Linus penguin? Linux
It is. It's a
penguin?
Linux. It's Tux. In fact,
Tux, that's his name.
There's 2 Tuxes. If you look on the other side of the bat, there's a Tux clock. That's all right. I'll find it for you in a second, John. Where was I? Audible.com. Audible.com/twit2. You can sign up there for 2 books. That's the platinum account. 2 books a month. First month's free. And you get 2 books, and they're yours to keep forever. Cancel at any time. Pay nothing if you like. Adam Lashinsky's new book just came out. Actually, this is my next read. I can't wait to read this. Inside Apple. That's a good choice. Not the one I was thinking of. But I will go get it for you in a second.
Sure you will.
Inside Apple: How America's Most Admired and Secretive Company Really Works. This one is, everybody's been waiting for this one. Just came out a couple of days ago. And the nice thing about Audible now is they're getting the audio the same day as the book comes out. And I'll tell you, I'm thrilled because I don't have time to read books. I fall asleep, but I have an hour in the gym every day. I have time driving in the car. I have time cleaning the house, and that's when I get reading done. Sometimes a couple hours a day of reading, and I just love that. Audible.com/twit2 plays on your iPod, your iPhone, your Zune, your Kindle if you've got audio on the Kindle, many GPS devices. It's just fantastic. Audible.com/twit2. 2 books for free. Give it a try today. And we thank Audible so much for their support of This Week in Tech. You never found it.
If it wasn't for you, Audible would not be the company it is today.
Oh, you just say things like that to make me feel bad. Because then I feel like, gosh, why aren't I making more money or something?
You're making tons of money.
Amazon bought them. And I think they've done very well since then.
You didn't get any stock from them, though, unfortunately.
So, a couple of interesting stories out of... No, I can't. I don't, and I won't. And because I don't... It's a conflict of interest. A couple of interesting stories out of Twitter. First of all, they released information about DMCA takedown notices, 4,410 in 2011.
Yeah, what's the name of that that website they pointed everyone
Chilling
to?
Effects.
Yeah, there's something about this kind of
They
thing.
actually pointed people to Chilling Effects, which is, I think, kind of interesting. Chilling Effects is an Electronic Frontier Foundation website that basically the premise of it is, what are the chilling effects of these laws? What's the impact of these laws? Sure, the DMCA allows companies like Twitter and YouTube to have safe harbor. In other words, not to be held liable for pirated content or whatever that's on their services, provided they offer a mechanism so that the companies that own the rights can say, hey, get that off of there. And Twitter does it, YouTube does it, even Mega Upload did it, although it didn't protect Mega Upload. And so here are all the cease and desist notices for 2011 up here from Magnolia Pictures, from Simon & Schuster. What are they links to? They're links to pirated content, I guess.
Not
on
always.
Twitter.
Not always. It could be a link to somebody else pointing to pirated content.
That's right.
That one kid was busted for that.
That's right. You're not
A
even
kid
allowed
in
to link
England.
to a link.
Some kid in England linked to a link, and the U.S. requires him to be extradited. The guy's never been to the United States.
Oh, man.
It's a disgusting story, and the Brits do nothing about it. Right, Will? What have you done to help this poor kid?
I blame Will.
What have we ever done to do anything?
Well, how about ACTA? Has ACTA been approved now in Great Britain? Because I know it's about to be approved worldwide.
So it's a, well,
25 of the,
it's now in the running, right?
Right. 25 of the 27 EU countries have now approved it. But I think the EU has to approve it as well. I mean, like what do you call it? The Congress has to approve it.
The Parliament.
Yeah, the sort of European
Parliament.
Yeah.
There's like 3 different divisions.
Yeah.
Of
There's a whole bunch of these.
So ACTA is the very sneaky SOPA that is done as a treaty instead of as a law.
Yeah.
And in fact, get ready for this, it probably will be made the law of the land in the U.S., not by Congress, not by the Senate, which normally approves treaties, but by executive order.
Yeah, it works.
So
We have a king running the country, so you might as well just make executive orders all day and all night.
Obama says, yes, we can.
Well, Ron Wyden's fighting this. Ron Wyden's really upset about the fact that ACTA and other true treaties are not approved by the Senate. So ACTA is an international trade agreement negotiated by the European Union, the United States, Japan, Canada, South Korea, Australia, Mexico, Morocco, Singapore. Canada's involved. It essentially gives you the 3 Strikes Act. It gives you lack of due process and shutting down so-called pirate sites. It is really the backdoor SOPA.
Yeah, and I like the 3 strikes thing. Let's start taking people's internet access away.
Yeah, just because we don't like them.
Well, that's been part of bills like this for, since the internet became a place where you would trade pirated content.
So if you're interested, I urge you to go to EFF.org and read up on ACTA and why you should care about it. ACTA has several features that raise concerns for privacy, for civil liberties, for the free flow of information on the internet.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. We're finishing up on the golden age of the internet.
I think you might be right.
And we might as well enjoy it while we can, because in the future, and the public doesn't care, because as long as they can get to Facebook and Amazon, they're good to go.
The only thing you can do at this point is to petition the White House not to make it an executive order and tell members of Congress, actually not even members of Congress, because it's the Senate now to be responsible, tell your senators to demand the right to review ACTA and then not to approve it.
Yeah.
But surely, I mean, given that Obama came out and said that if SOPA got passed, he wouldn't sign.
Yeah, he also said he wouldn't sign.
You can't turn around and then say,
yes,
well,
he can. He said he wouldn't sign the National Defense Authorization Act, which provided for
militarization of the U.S. in total.
Yeah, and indefinite incarceration for everybody.
Right, no habeas corpus. Just pick somebody up, throw them in jail.
Repealed habeas corpus. So here's what's going to happen, John, or this is my thought, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts are.
Wow.
All of you.
I've got this Microsoft thing here with all these URLs that they've got the cease and desist on. It's unbelievable. It goes for days.
You're at Chilling Effects. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's a great website. Must read. It goes for days.
Yeah, it goes down to China.
So here to me is what I think will happen. I don't think the internet will go away. I agree we've had a golden age of free
Yeah, no,
internet.
it's not going anywhere. It's just going to be different.
I think there will be this kind of now bowdlerized, protected internet that most people will use. But I believe the internet is self-healing, and geeks want free flow of information. I think what's going to happen is you're going to get a second tier. You're going to have a black internet. You're going to have just as you have a black market, you're going to have
theory.
You're going to have an internet that if you were smart, this is what happened in China. In China, there's the internet everybody uses that doesn't allow Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. But if you're in the literati, if you're digitally literate, you can get on all of those. You know how to get on all those. And I suspect that that's what's going to happen. What do you think?
We're going to have a subclass of pseudo-hackers a la The Matrix or Usenet or something.
Well, and it's a little scary. And it should be more, frankly, if these rights holders thought about it, this is exactly what they don't want. Because right now, they have some tools. They have the DMCA. It is in public, but as soon as it's a dark net, anything goes.
That's a fascinating idea. I never thought of that kind of dystopian.
Well, there are
utopian.
a lot of hackers of this mentality. And
I'm
Leon,
one of them.
Yeah, well, you're kind of one of them. Well, you are one of them. Just take a look at that rig you've got over there.
Yeah, there you go. That's analog, baby. But already hackers, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, are putting satellites up so they have satellite access. Will, do you think this is crazy?
I don't think it's crazy. I wonder if it's, a forced evolution. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I wonder if it will lead to, there are so many structural flaws with the internet. I wonder if a sort of rebuilding from the ground up of something that's better will lead to, you build something that's got security built in and, anonymization. And if you were going to design the internet from scratch again now, you could probably do a better job of it. And so I wonder if this will be the catalyst for sort of a next generation of evolution.
Well, you're blowing my mind now, Will.
I'm pretty sure that, with Internet 2 and some of this other stuff, we're definitely going to always have a couple of alternatives to the Internet. So why wouldn't we just do something like that? Or just let the other one split into pieces. I still think I think the real scenario here is, first of all, we go into a nationalization of the Internet country by country. That way you don't have any problems within Saudi Arabia about anything, because it's essentially a closed system. We have one here, and the thing that's going to kind of diminish everything, even though you have people like yourself and Leo and others, is the fact that the public at large doesn't care. They will have their 3 or 4 things. Nobody goes. It's like people that remember when PCs first came out, they did some studies, and it turned out that people only downloaded or installed 3 or 4 extra programs besides the one that they got on their PCs. They don't do all this stuff. There's very few people that, and in fact, I think the number's getting smaller, that are involved in anything more than just the basics. And we were just stalling for Leo.
Well,
I can't find it. You know what it is? It's you're right not to find it. I don't know where it went. It was OS2 Warp in a sealed package.
Oh.
Which I know you would love.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody sent it to us, and I don't know where it's gone.
It belongs in the Smithsonian.
Believe it, it does.
I think it was Jerry.
It was the IBM operating system that John was a big advocate for. And somebody sent it to me, sealed in the box, and it's disappeared. So I think one of my staff members actually thought it was, something you might want.
Or junk.
Or they threw it away.
What's this?
Anyway, but no, I think this is a great a conversation. I think this is what's going to happen.
Well, Leo, if that does happen, I mean, what you and Will are talking about is like, okay, we're going to have a separate non-internet, internet-like thing that will allow digitally literate people to access information freely.
And it's going to be better because all those Facebook weirdos will be gone.
But that's not what the internet is not for the digitally literate. It's for everybody. I mean, did you read Vince Cerf's op-ed in the New York Times? Yes. It's not a civil right. It's not a human right, but it gives you access to those things.
I agree 100%.
When you limit that access,
I'm not advocating this.
Just to geeks.
I'm not advocating this. This is why you have to fight SOPA, why you have to fight people, why you have to fight ACTA.
We fought SOPA. Do you think we can get people to fight ACTA after fighting SOPA? It's hard to get people interested.
They only fight 1 or 2 things and they give up.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is what should happen, but I think it's what's going to happen.
So who do we need to call? Do we need to call the White House, or do we need to call our senators, or both?
So about ACTA. You can go to whitehouse.gov, and there are petitions on whitehouse.gov.
Are there?
That, in the petition section, one of the petitions is President Obama do not sign ACTA. Let the Senate have something to do with it. Let me see if I can find it, because that's
also the thing. If you're in Europe, the thing you can do is write to your European member of parliament. So,
yes, because they have to approve it, and you can get
They have to approve it. So even though most of the countries in the EU, apart from Germany and a couple of others, have approved it at a national level, it still has to be approved at the European level by the European Parliament. So if you write to your European member of parliament and tell them to don't be so idiotic, You know, there's still a chance that's going to happen in June. So writing campaign between now and June if you're in Europe.
You know, it may not be on the White House site. I guess that I guess it's not on the White House.
Whitehouse.gov/petitions. I think is
See
what
if
we're
it's
looking at.
there.
Let's see.
We could put it up there if not. The main idea is to get the president to say, I am not going to pass this by executive order.
What would be his rationale?
Well, that's the problem. His rationale is maybe to get elected because we do have an election coming up in November.
That's
I just think if this is how SOPA and PIPA worked, we scared members of Congress into thinking they were going to lose their constituency. It's the only choice you've got at this point is to really make this an urgent thing. And the reason.
So would you not vote for Obama if he signed? Because you're an Obama guy.
I am.
Would you not vote for Obama?
Absolutely not.
You'd vote for him.
No, I'd absolutely not vote for him. The problem
What would
is,
you do? Stay home? Would you vote for the Republican?
I'm not going to vote for Newt Gingrich.
Well, he's not going to get in.
Oh, sure
That's
he
just.
is. We'll have this talk later.
Do you want some money? But some money on the
You think
table.
it's Mitt Romney?
Yeah,
I'm not going to vote for him
Republicans
either.
are never going to vote for him.
I'll vote for Ron Paul as a write-in.
Well, that's a good idea.
And that's why Obama's going to win. Sorry. Because everybody who would want Ron Paul to be on the Republican ticket, they're not going to see that happen.
I agree.
And Newt Gingrich is going to be up there being all Newt Gingrich.
We got to put some money on this.
Actually, I'd vote
Newt
for Gary
Gingrich
Johnson.
is a.
I would vote
But
for
we're
Gary
getting
Johnson.
way out of our
Okay, let's get back on the
No, but
topic.
here's the
It is
petition.
germane because what's
There's
happening
nothing,
is
you know.
that all the money coming out of Hollywood is influencing everybody right up into the White House.
But here's the thing, Leo. If you elect Newt Gingrich, he can build a new internet on the moon.
That would be good. All right, maybe I'll vote for him.
Let's go to back to the story.
And by the way, somebody said, and they're absolutely right, because I live in California, it doesn't matter who I vote for.
True.
And actually, if you live in California, it doesn't matter if you call your senators, really, because it's so funny that we have all the entertainment here and a lot of the technology talent here. And last I checked, our two senators do not plan on not supporting legislation that helps the entertainment industry by censoring private citizens and innovation.
Yeah, right. Because Feinstein and Boxer are getting a lot of money.
They're in the pocket.
From Hollywood. Here it is. It is on the whitehouse.gov site. We the people, please submit ACTA to the Senate for ratification as required by the Constitution. It is a trade agreement. Now, that's step one. And by the way, there are 4,549 signatures on there. It's easy to create an account and sign it. That's how many needed to reach a goal.
A goal.
But the goal is meaningless. What you got to do is everybody has to sign this, raise this issue. Ron Wyden in the Senate has been fighting for this. The Senate wants the right to see this. The thing about ACTA is it's been in secret the whole time. If it weren't for Michael Geist in Canada, who finally found the treaty itself and published it, we would never know about this. This has been a secret. This is one of them.
We do a lot of that. We do a lot of that.
You bet. And it's really shameful. And
so Eric Duckman in the chat room has got a link to a petition that's an active petition on the White House Gov that's got 35,000 signatures.
Yeah, that's
already.
I think the one we were pointing to. There's also some others on e-petitions, but do the one on whitehouse.gov. I think that the first step is to say you can't sign this as an executive order. Send it to the Senate. Second, then the next step is you got to
pressure the Senate.
Pressure
guys.
the hell out of the Senate.
They're more likely.
Unfortunately, not all of them are up for election. Only half of them. Thank you, Dan. End ACTA and protect our right to privacy on the internet.
Next story.
I think this might be. There might be. So there's two of them.
Tried.
This is too bad. No. Oh, look at 35,000 on this one. So this reached its goal. So there are several anti-ACTA petitions.
Let's sign them all. Everybody on the internet should be signing them.
Sign them all! All right, moving along. Twitter, do we want to talk more about? Twitter has decided that they are going to allow individual nations to censor tweets.
I wrote a column about this in PC Magazine.
I think they have to, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they do, too. I don't think they have a choice.
It's not a good thing. It's not something we praise.
It's not like that. I don't think they're, I don't know if I don't know.
Well, if you...
Well, individuals in those countries work around that, and the people who know how to.
You can write code, yeah. I mean, you don't have to write, the Shah's an idiot or whatever you'd put. I mean, a lot of these Middle Eastern countries, you can't say anything bad about their rulers.
Right. That guy with the beard, I think he's dumb.
He's a dummy.
The dummy guy in the beard with the thing on his head. Don't like him. See, and then they would all know.
Generally, yeah.
Generally speaking. I think you have to do this because you're operating in a nation. You have to abide by the rules of the nation. It's the same issue Google had in China. They had two choices, either adhere to the laws of China or withdraw. So Twitter has the same thing.
This is also an interesting one for France. So, for example, in France, there are all sorts of like anti-Nazi propaganda laws.
Right.
So anything,
Germany too.
Yeah. So it's not just sort of the Chinas and the Saudi Arabians.
That's a good point.
European countries are quite big on it.
That's actually a good point. And I think it's just, unfortunately, or fortunately, it's just what you do.
For Twitter, I mean...
Who cares? It's Twitter.
It's Twitter. It's just like, hi, how you doing? Oh, yeah, we met this, I mean, there's just mundane. I mean,
Well, I mean, Twitter would argue, if they were here, which they're not, that they have had some role in, like, political goings-on where there isn't free speech in the press and there isn't free speech, on the radio in those countries, that they play, that they take over that role.
Yeah, they claim that.
Yeah, they claim that, but then they say, okay, we'll play along with local censorship, so which one is it?
Facebook was huge. Facebook was huge in the Egyptian spring.
That's what they say.
Hey, there was a guy named his kid Facebook.
Who is that? Was that a friend of yours?
No, a guy in Egypt. Yeah, a friend of mine.
Facebook. Hey, come here, Facebook.
I think we're going to wrap this up.
I can't even see
Jolie,
naming a dog Facebook.
I think in Arabic it means
that story? Oh, that story just got bigger. I got an email from the person.
All right, let's talk about it. So Y Combinator, which is a startup school, a very good one, run by Paul Graham. One of their companies, one of their,
alumni companies,
Curbit. In fact, Dave McClure put some money into them. Apparently stole HTML code, images, and even linked back to 37 Signals for their website.
Now, 37 Signals, created, of course, by Jason Fried and DHH, the guy who created Ruby on Rails.
And
so if you're going to steal from somebody, go big, man. Go big.
And Hanson's been tweeting like nasty-ass tweets. He's been pissed. I saw this. It was pointed out to me, and I thought, finally, a poop storm on the internet. It's my time to shine. So I wrote this lovely post about it. Now, Curbit says it was a mistake. We were testing.
Oh, they didn't say it was a mistake. They said, yeah, we stole it, but that's okay, right? We're so small. It's okay because it was just an A/B test, which is BS.
So what is an A/B test?
An A/B test is where I show you this phone, and you decide which one you like better. And then we send 30,000 people, and we send 15,000 to one phone and 15,000 to another, and the one that responds best wins. So if they had responded best to that design, then they would have gone with the stolen design.
Is Curbit in the same business as 37 Signals? No.
No.
But they just stole their design.
They just stole the design and the images, and
they actually have links in the code to...
Yeah, the images were coming off of the 37 Signals server. Now, it gets better.
Kind of creepy.
So the guy who founded, one of the co-founders for Curbit, was on Twitter talking some trash to DHH, who is not known for his pleasant demeanor.
Here's the tweet. It'll all be okay. Chill, dude.
Yeah, you don't go up to, this very irascible personality and say, chill, dude. What are you getting so freaked out about?
Wow.
So then last night, someone sent me an anonymous email that Curbit hadn't only stolen the images and the codes, they had a demo video where they stole music from a local San Francisco artist. Not like Metallica or somebody where they make millions of dollars, they don't care. A local independent artist. And then if you go to Twitter/randomrab, you can see it all going down where this guy says, yeah, they did steal my music for their demo video. They didn't get in touch with me beforehand, and I'm asking them to take it down, and then they're trying to buy me out now. But he said it's sad to be put in the position of telling someone why it's wrong. You cannot convince the Curbit guys that what they have done is wrong. Yeah. They think stealing is okay. And you know what? A lot of people think it's okay.
And Pippa.
A lot of the lean startup people think that this is perfectly fine behavior.
Be lean.
No, you be lean by working harder than everybody else.
We're lean because we stole it all.
And eating ramen because you're paying a designer. Jesus. On the friggin'.
Yeah. All right. She's through with you.
She's great. I love her. She's angry.
That's a good story, though.
It is a great story. Nicely done.
Thank you.
Jolie Odell writes for VentureBeat. You can read all her stories there, VentureBeat.com. Look for her rock and roll singing on YouTube. And what else you want to plug?
My book.
Your book? Oh, give me the book. Give me the book. Give me the it's a good book.
Please go buy my book.
Where can I find this book?
You can find it on Amazon. You can find it in bookstores. You can find it in some retailers that I'm not allowed to mention yet. It is on sale February 7th, but you can pre-order it now, and it is so much fun.
Look at this.
And informative, too.
And it's published by Ilex?
Mm-hmm.
And I love the form. I love the design.
It's a nice book.
It's a beautiful. They spent some money on 4-color printing here.
And you know what?
Gorgeous.
I spent so much time writing it. I thought it was going to be some big, dry technical manual, but they made it beautiful.
So if you're interested in using your phone, and it doesn't have to be Android. It could be any camera phone, right? But if you,
it has a lot of emphasis on Android apps.
On how to do it in Android. Okay.
Because when you're going to spend money on an app, you want to know that it's a good one.
Oh, so
I reviewed,
there's reviews of apps.
I spent so much money on apps to get those.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
And what camera phone did you like the best? I think
maybe the Evo.
The Evo's pretty good.
Maybe.
I don't like the 3D thing in the new one, but that's silly. I'm a big fan, actually, of the Galaxy S2, and your Nexus is pretty good.
I like this phone, and not only that, but I keep it with my keys in my pocket, and there's not a scratch on it.
That's amazing. How do they do that?
Wow, really?
Yes, because they use that Corning Gorilla Glass, which feels like plastic.
Right.
But it's actually some weird glass.
You keep your keys in your front pocket?
No, I usually, when the phone's in my pocket, the keys are in there bouncing off. And this phone's a year old, bouncing against keys. Not a scratch on it.
Jolie, where do you share your... You don't have a cell phone, so you don't share your photos.
She gave up.
I share my photography on Flickr.
Good.
Yep,
right.
it's all there. There's some good stuff.
Thank you, Jolie. JolieOdell.com, at JOdell on Twitter, right?
Jolie Odell.
Jolie Odell on
Yes,
Twitter,
sir.
Jolie. John C. Dvorak is at Channel Dvorak. And No Agenda is every Sunday morning. No
and
Agenda
Thursday.
Show. And Thursday now, too.
No, it's always been on Thursday. You do this every time.
You know, we asked Adam to come on with you, and he said, I hate that son of a...
No, you could get Adam on next week during the Super Bowl because he doesn't care about football.
He doesn't care about football.
Yeah.
All right, good. We'll have him on. Anything else to plug? ChannelDvorak.com?
ChannelDvorak.com, Dvorak.org. I think I'm in PC Magazine, Market Watch. You can go there and read some of these more recent columns. They're pretty interesting. And also the X3 show.
That's right.
And the Generation X3 show, which is the best show I think I've ever done.
That's
which is
new.
Yeah, I got 3 millennials, and we talk about topics of the day, and it's just like the baby boomer versus the millennials. It's the most fascinating show, especially when they talk about things like binge drinking and all these other possibilities.
I'm going to listen to that because I want to know
GenerationX3.mevio.com.
Kids don't know about binge drinking these days, I swear.
Oh, these guys do.
Not like Jolie did in her day.
Like old salts.
In her day.
Yeah.
Oh,
You'd
man.
be surprised.
Generation X3. Well, I don't have to listen to this. It's on Mevio if you want to find out. But you can just Google Generation X3.
Yeah, I think it's the most entertaining thing I've done for a while because I'm flabbergasted half the time.
You're stunned.
Wow. What?
Andrej, Preston, Dorian Douglas, and Eddie DeRosa with John. Fun. Will is still at ChannelFlip. He's not going anywhere. ChannelFlip.com or at Will Harris with one
I see he's
L.
not wearing his wealth yet. No, I'm just sorry.
He's dressed exactly like Mark Zuckerberg. What are you talking about? That's the new wealth.
I guess
Are you
so.
wearing Adidas shower shoes?
No, I do have Converse, though, which is almost the same.
That's almost the same.
Yeah.
It's always great to hear
Slave
from you,
labor.
Will. Thank you for being here. We'll get you back soon.
Always a pleasure. At Will Harris on Twitter.
And congratulations on your success. I think that's fantastic. I'm very happy for you. Thank you all for being here. Let's see what's going on the week ahead. Tom Merritt.
Wow.
He's here.
Hey, thanks, Leo. I won't be around this week, but here are a couple of things that Sarah and I will be keeping an eye on Tech News Today. Monday, January 30th, D-Dive into Media kicks off with guests like Dick Costolo of Twitter, Jason Kilar of Hulu, singer Neil Young, and Martha Stewart, along with several others. Also on Monday, President Obama will be hanging out on Google+. Tuesday, January 31st,
Yeah, right.
the Canon EOS C300 is set for release in Japan. The Crunchies will be awarded for categories like Best Location App, Best Cloud Services, Best Shopping App, and much more. And Google Wave goes read-only, just in case anybody's still reading it. Wednesday, February 1st, Dish will offer a 24-hour test drive for their tablet and smartphone streaming to anyone in the United States. And Connect for Windows becomes available for $249, which includes development software. Finally, Saturday, February 4th, happy 8th birthday to Facebook. That's a look at the week ahead. Back to you, Leo.
Thank you, Tom.
Hey, wait. Is he here? Where'd he go? I wanted to talk to him.
You just missed him. He just left for Hawaii. He's actually spending the week in Hawaii with his lovely wife, Eileen Rivera.
That was pre-recorded?
Look, there he is. He's gone.
Oh, man.
That was fast.
He packed and is out of here.
You got a back door in this place? What's the deal?
Boom. Boom. He is out of here. That's interesting. So it's Facebook's 8th birthday. That'd be an appropriate time to file for your ID.
Yeah, might as well.
Do it on your 8th birthday.
8 years and billions. Wow.
Well, why not? We are, of course, next week's the Super Bowl, so we will start early next week. So if you like to watch live, normally the show's at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on twit.tv. Next week, we'll start shortly after the radio show. It's about 2:15 probably, but tune in at 2 Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2100 UTC. If you'd like to watch live. Of course, you don't have to because we make audio and video recordings available almost immediately. We're working on making that faster on iTunes and all the other places finer podcasts are found. Game On is coming up in just a little bit, our brand new gaming show with Brian Brushwood and Veronica Belmont. They are in the other room stripping down.
They were. I was back there. I saw that.
They're getting ready. They've got costumes. They've got characters. They've got gaming. It's going to be a lot of fun. You want to make sure you stay tuned for Game On, our brand new gaming show. Episode 3 is on in moments. I'm Leo Laporte. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you later. Another TWiT is in the can.
This is amazing.